Alright, all you ancient Egyptian explorers, we are going to get started on our project today. You will need a piece of white paper. I'm just going to use a half sheet. You can use a half sheet if you want. A pencil, crayons and markers. Now I love that hippo that I just showed you in the slide presentation named William. Do you realize that this little hippo sculpture is almost 4,000 years old? He was found inside of a tomb. Well, I thought that this amazing little hippo should become our inspiration for our art project. So if you would like to do a different animal, you need to make sure you find an animal that would be along the Nile in Egypt. So these would be like aquatic animals or semi-aquatic animals. There's lots of birds like herrings or humongous crocodile. So if you'd like to draw a different animal, that's just fine. But I'm going to get started on William here. So looking at William's shape, I see two main shapes. I see an oval that makes up his body and another oval that makes up his head. If you look, his neck is a cylinder. His head does not touch his body. It's connected by the neck. And then he's got cylinders for legs. So I'm going to use that to draw out my hippo. Now you can also look up a hippo on your computer or in a book at your house. Some of you might even have a hippo stuffed animal. So I want you to look for a picture of a hippo or pause for a moment and look at William here. Alright, I'm going to get started on William's body with a large oval, and I'm going to put him not quite in the middle of my paper. And I'm drawing very lightly because if I make a mistake or I need to erase part of it, it'll be much easier if I'm drawing lightly. Alright, I've got a pretty good oval shape there. Now his head is looking downward. Do you see how this oval's pointing downward? And it's away from the body. So I know I need to leave a little bit of space. I need to start my oval just about at the height of the body oval. So I'm going to draw a very, very light line over here. I know that this oval has to be pretty long too. It's got to come down just about as long as the body. So these little marks are called my guidelines. So I used my guidelines, and I think I have a pretty good head already. Make sure you look at the picture of your hippo also. So now I'm going to use my ovals to make my neck. I'm going to start at the front of the oval. I'm going to curve down just slightly and then right into the top of the body oval. Hippos have very thick necks. If you look at William's neck, there's actually two little curves in it. So I'm going to see if I can do that. Let's see, I probably need to come way down here to get William's neck. And I'm going into the bottom of the body oval. You can see I just kind of blended right into it. So now I can use my eraser and I can erase the line that separates the neck and the body. I'm going to erase a little bit of the head oval too. I'm going to leave a little bit on here because it kind of creates the jaw of the hippo. Maybe just a little further back. Now I need to create my very stout, short, strong hippo legs, and they are cylinder shaped. If I look at William, very short legs, very strong legs. I'm going to start way up here on the body to create a bit of a shoulder. And I'm going to bring my line down, but not very far. I'm going to come forward just a little bit so I can make some feet. And I'm going to make a nice wide curve. And then I'm going to go into the body. So again, I'm going to erase so that my leg looks like it is attached. And I'm going to work on my back leg. The back leg's going to come in just a little bit further. Comes in just a little bit. Curves. So let's see if I can get those. Alright, I'm going to start probably right about in here, under the oval. I know I need to be at about the same height as my front foot. So there's my guideline. And I'm going to do a nice curve again. Little line for the toes. And I'm going to blend right up into the body. Okay, so now I can show that there's a back leg. It's not going to come down quite as far because it's a little further away. And I can do the same thing over here for the front leg. And I've pretty much got the basic shape of my hippo. I can start adding details. Now if your hippo's not quite there, go ahead and pause the video, work on getting your basic shapes right before you move on with any kind of details. Now William's tail is tucked in because he's a statue and they didn't want to have little parts sticking out that would break off. But if we want to add our tail on, we can add our tail. And the hippo's ears are kind of up here on top of its head. I'm going to start out with just an 11. And I'm going to add a little curve on the top. For the other ear, I'm just going to show the curved top of it poking up. The eyes are also pretty high up on the head and forward so that the hippo can just kind of stick the top of its head out of the water. So I'm going to add a little bump in here where I can set the eye in. Erase the little line. And I'm going to put the eye right there. And of course we're going to have a nostril. Just one, we only see one right now. And the mouth. Not looking too bad, William. Alright, now William lives in the Nile River near the pyramids. So I'm going to create the edge of the Nile River. He's kind of standing in the water, so I'm going to give him a water line right in here. He's kind of standing in the shallow water along the edge of the river. Make it look like he's making a few ripples in the water. I'm sure a hippo would make more than a few ripples. But I'm just making these little curves around his feet. I'm going to put some grass along the river, and that's probably what he would be eating. So I'm going to color these with my crayons and markers later, but just so you can get an idea of the grass line, I'll put some lines really lightly in here so they won't show up too much when I do my crayons and markers. And now, a little higher up here, I'm going to create a horizon line of sand. The Sahara Desert has shifting sand dunes. So I've just made 2 curves right over top of my hippo. And then I'm going to make a couple of pyramids back here. So I'm going to start with a vertical line. And I'm just going to make 2 more lines down. 1 and 2. Not too bad, huh? Now if I wanted to put details on them, I could. It's not really necessary, but I could if I wanted to. They're going to be too far away to draw like the blocks and all of that stuff. And you can draw another pyramid if you like. Vertical line. And 2 more lines coming down. So it's just a triangle that we've split in half. We can't see the bottom because it's kind of covered up by the sand dunes. You can add other things if you want. Maybe there's a palm tree in here too. That's your choice. I don't think I want to put a palm tree in here because it's going to kind of cover up my pyramids. And I think those are pretty cool. Let's see, of course it's very, very hot in the desert and in Egypt. So I'm going to have my sun here. And I think that looks pretty good. So I want you to take your black marker and outline your pencil lines. Now William is covered with these beautiful lotus leaf drawings that would be found on the edge of the Nile River. There's also a lily pad on the other side that I don't have. You can kind of see one down here too. So if you would like to add decoration onto your hippo, then now's the time. If you want to color it and have a more natural, realistic looking hippo, you sure can. So I'm going to demonstrate how I would start a flower. And the Egyptians really like to have things symmetrical. So you can see on this lotus flower that it's the same on both sides. There's a flower on each side, and that was balance. Now your flower, of course, does not have to be the same if you are drawing a flower. I want you to make it your own. So I'm kind of starting off the same way, but now I'm ready to put my own style into it. So of course you could also look up a picture of William so that you can see the other sides of them. It's your choice. Maybe you want to learn more about William. I put a link next to his picture that will let you go visit him at the Metropolitan Museum. So it's important to make it your own. After you're done drawing your design on your hippo, you want to go ahead and outline that also. I'm using my thin Sharpie because I want these lines to be a little bit more delicate. Remember, line variety is important in art. Well, of course, William is the star of the show, but I'm going to start my color in the background, and I'm just using my crayons. I've got some colors that I want to do. I'm kind of doing a sunset. It looks like the sun is pretty close to the horizon. So I'm going to start with sunset colors. Now you can have your sun higher up if you want. You can have a blue sky. It's certainly up to you. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Maybe this is a moon and you're doing a night sky too. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So first thing I'm doing, I'm just going to blend some colors together to create my sun. And I'm going to start along the sand here. Oh, I got another little spot to erase. And I'm going to be blending my colors together. So first I start off with my yellow crayon coloring kind of hard. And then I'm going to go up just a little bit higher, but now I'm pressing lighter. Now I'm barely touching the paper at all. Pressing very light. So down here, it's lower. I'm going to press nice and hard. And as I come up, I'm going to press lighter and lighter. By pressing lighter, more of the white paper is still showing, and I'll be able to blend the next color in. So I think I'm going to blend some pink into it. So I'm not going to start at the edge of my yellow. I'm going to come down a little bit into it, and I start coloring there. And then I'm going to bring my pink up higher. Now you could use orange, it doesn't have to be pink. You can always look at a sunset. We've had some beautiful sunsets lately. So I'm going to, as I go up with the pink, I'm pressing just a little bit lighter as I go up. That way I can blend one more color into it, or I could do two more colors. Now on my pyramids, I have to remember that these are a three-dimensional pyramid. So one side of my pyramid is facing the sun, the other side is facing away. To make it look three-dimensional, I need to make the side facing the sun lighter. So I'm going to color that side with a little bit of apricot. I'm pressing nice and hard because I don't want to have white paper coming through. And then I'm going to color the other side of the pyramid very lightly with brown first. And then I'm going to mix my apricot on top. By coloring very lightly with the brown, I can mix the apricot in, and it's just a little bit darker. I don't want them to look like two different things. It's just the darker side of the same pyramid because it's facing away from the light. So just blend right on top. Pretty interesting, right? Now you can put as much detail into this as you want by mixing colors together like I am. So if I wanted to on one of my sand dunes, I can color with a little bit of brown, and I can mix some yellow-orange into it. You could even get out your color pencils if you like. It's your choice. But try blending your colors. I have to remember that I'm going to have some grass down here, so I don't want to color too hard down towards the bottom of the sand dune because it'll be hard to put the green over top. And the grass would be very green because the Nile River was very fertile and allowed the Egyptians to do a lot of farming and raise crops so that they could survive in this desert environment. So there would be a lot of green vegetation growing along the edge of the river. So by blending the brown and the yellow orange together, I'm also getting like a texture, a sand texture, which makes it very interesting too. So just because you're at home and you may not have all of the art materials you want to use, you can still be very creative and mix your own colors. So I started in the background and I kept moving forward, and now we're into our foreground. We have background, middle ground, and foreground. So the river and William are in the foreground. Now I want William to still be blue, but I don't want him to be the same color of blue as the water because it'll blend in. So I need a little bit of contrast or difference between the colors. So I'm going to make William a little bit more of this blue-green color. And I think I'm going to make my water much darker with like an indigo. And I might blend a little bit of violet into my water too. This will create a lot of contrast so that William doesn't blend in. Now you might notice that I am using a white crayon right over top of my blue-green turquoise color. This is helping to smooth the crayon out a little bit. It helps to fill in the little white spots that are still showing from the paper, and just kind of gives it a more finished look. Alright, the last thing I have to do for William is finish his water. So you can see I've added the violet in. Now I'm just going to blend my indigo blue into the violet. Make sure you take a picture of your animal and click on the slide of attach to the assignment. Attach your picture to the slide and turn it in. I hope you had a lot of fun. Bye-bye.